You may have seen various ghosts throughout the amazing show that is Gravity Falls. There are in fact 10 whole dang categories of ghosts listed in Journal 3, so I thought it'd be interesting to go through and explain them all, while also showing examples and other cool Easter eggs along the way. So if all that sounds interesting to you, then stick around as we went to go through all this tasty lore after this ad. If I add any, we first see the categories being used in the amazing Pacifica episode, The Northwest Mansion Mystery, giving us a glimpse of the ghost categories, but not giving us all we need to make a full lore video. That one comes with the later release, Real Life Journal 3, which I own. Isn't that so cool?
Don't worry, I'm not gonna drop it this time.
And in there we see all the additional info we need. So with this book paired with what we know with the show, we can go through all of these defined categories and see if Ford is even right about any of it whatsoever. Ford first researched these ghosts because of boyish Dan Corduroy, or as you may know him, Wendy's dad, Dan Corduroy. Corduroy. Gave Ford his family's unused cabin since Ford was too fed up not making progress on his grand unified theory of weirdness. Though Dan warned him to lock himself inside the bedroom before midnight. Ford mocks him at first and then realizes that the cabin is, and I quote, exceedingly haunted. Ford tries the seance to lay the spirits to rest, but then quickly realizes he's wrong by the seance summoning an untold number of his unearthly brethren. He then spent 2 sleepless nights writing these 10 distinct variations of ghosts he's noticed, each one being deadlier than the last. Category 1. The first he noticed at the cabin were these Casper-looking ghosts he literally called for Category 1. These basically pose no threat at all, only having the desire to become the best friend of whatever person they latch onto, meaning they are really desperate and clingy, even falling Ford home asking to bake brownies and have a tickle fight. Even though he is indeed a ghost with no body to go with. Thank you for the joke. You may now clap till your hands hurt. They also have the power to make things float, but never compliment them on it, because only showing no interest will make them disappear. Otherwise, literally one word of kindness will keep them around for years to come. So even though the ghost is a supposed cutie pie, they are way more annoying than it's worth. Much like my ex-wife. But her aim is getting better! And if you have the Blacklight journal, you can see the ghost skeleton, meaning the Blacklight reveals the bones of this relatively otherwise harmless and cute ghost. Which is super interesting because only one later category has a crazy Blacklight secret like this. Can you guess which one before I say it? Bet you can't. No, seriously, I don't think you can. You think this is a joke? Some sort of lighthearted game? I have no faith in you, you pathetic little worm. Category 2, pranksters. I love the way that these guys look. Look at the shorter one with the little hat and the scrunched up face, pounding his little fist in the other hand like a cutie. These ghosts appear in groups of 2 to 3 of these prankster types. Mainly because on their own, they'd get their transparent butts kicked all the way back to the netherworld. Sick Minecraft reference, Ford, but can we stick to the research here? They prank humans by taping signs onto your back like kick me and possess me, but they love picking on the category ones, which is probably a reference to Casper's uncles, but a little less obvious compared to category 1 being compared to Casper. Category 3, gluttons. This is where I should mention that Seuss once talked about in the episode Fight Fighters about how when his house was haunted, he learned how to eat ghosts from an arcade game.
A frog taught me how to cross the street. When my house was haunted, I learned how to eat ghosts.
This video is all the information we know about these ghosts in Gravity Falls, so I thought the Seuss eating ghost Pac-Man reference would go best here. Speaking of references, this category is a clear reference to Slimer from Ghostbusters, being categorized in the exact same way that Freak would, with Ford even saying in the journal that Gooer from the movie Phantom Bustifiers being inspired in this universe by the ghosts themselves. So then I guess this is categorizing the exact same way that Freak Gooer would. Gooer. They violently eat any food that they can find, even going into refrigerators, all to have the food on the ground. So just like the others so far, this ghost is only dangerous to your mind by being constantly annoying. Imagine having to clean up after a glutton ghost wastes all of your food when the guy can't even eat it. At least with the previous two categories were only a little annoying, but not wasting your time and food by throwing it on the ground. Like, look at that picture. He wasted 14 fully made burgers. All that grocery money wasted. All that time cooking wasted. All those delicious burgers that I could have eaten in real life IRL. Call me Grand Theft Auto end screen, cause it's all wasted. Oh, I hate this man. I would never see him again. Category 4. Haunted paintings and image-based vectors. You've heard of paintings where the eyes follow you? Well, these ones literally do that, I assume. Ford managed to block out some words on this page, but it seems they can simply follow you with their eyes and bodies, well, you know, bodies, going from painting to painting, being able to leap from image to image, even onto Ford's $5 bill. And if you've seen one of the most famous Gravity Falls ghost episodes, then you probably know how to trap them. I'll give you a couple seconds to figure it out. Seriously, comment it down below. I'm testing your knowledge. It's the Pacifica episode in the mansion with the woodsman ghost guy. And time's up. It's trapping them in a silver mirror. It's apparently the only way to trap them. Ford hid his in a closet though to drown out its annoying screaming since category 4s have no indoor voice. This page also has a chant that Dipper is saying. It's a chant to dispel ghosts. The chant goes, Exodus demonus, spookus scarus, and afraid of no ghostus, poompus goosus shamalan. Which means Dipper was literally 3 chant words away from completing the chant.
Exodus demonus, spookus scarus, ain't afraid us no ghostus.
Dipper.
Which honestly probably would have ended up worse, since we wouldn't have gotten Pacifica's redemption, Dipper turning into wood, which both of those I made a video about, and we'll make another video about at some points, and finally the woodsman's lumber justice.
I feel lumber justice.
Which is also very interesting that this is a category 10 can be defeated in the same way as a category 4, meaning that there is much more crossover than we are led to believe between these categories, which I think is neat and cool. Category 5. Soul Suckers. These are basically the mosquitoes of the ghost world, feeding off life force of a human and sucking, well, their soul. I love the design of this freak. Reminds me of a Mario or even a Hollow Knight enemy. Just love the way he has that big old mouth when sucking, and then it gets all tiny while his body expands, looking like a neat little sack of soul. The only other thing to talk about with this neat little guy is Ford's tail. Given enough time, these guys will suck your whole dang soul. But Ford found him quickly and squashed him like a bug. It finishes off his entry with this. I have no idea how to clean bits of life force off of Dan's dining room table. Thanks, Ford. Very cool of you. I definitely needed that image in my brain, freak. Category 6. Phantoms of Pain. And just like Slimer and Casper, this one's an obvious reference to the Hellraiser monster. Though instead of describing them as guys wearing black leather and pins in their head,
Who you calling Pinhead?
Ford describes him as wearing black leather and having some sort of painful looking jewelry sticking out of various body parts. Even though those are clearly just nails, Ford, and even though that jewelry looks painful, what they really want is to inflict pain on you, meaning whoever they're haunting, not you specifically. You're not gonna have pain inflicted. I swear, you're not going in the Hellraiser Cube, chat. Chat, you're not going in the Hellraiser Cube. You're not.
If I chop you up in
Hellraiser Cube.
you're probably...
Pain.
No, I'm not gonna put you into a...
Hellraiser Cube.
I'm not gonna put you into...
Hellraiser. They can't even touch you unless you summon them. Ford had one at the cabin that literally pretended that Ford asked for him, but all Ford had to say was simply nope, and he shuffled his little feet away, disappearing as he muttered some lame threats. So don't worry, all you need to do is say nope, and the ghost would just simply have to leave you alone. I also believe that this is what category that the older couple would be in the episode The Inconveniencing. You don't know this, but this is why I really wanted to make this video. Besides learning about these ghost lore in Gravity Falls, I wanted to put Ma and Pa into a category because, let's be honest, these ghost categories weren't made when the writers outlined these rules and made that episode. And then I thought I could say, oh, Ford missed out on this one, he clearly doesn't know and just wrote these down with bias. The fool! But this category fits perfectly for these dusk to dawn convenience store runners. Like I said, Phantoms of Pain can't touch you unless you summon them, which is exactly what Dipper did by laying down on their corpse outlines and him saying about how he's such a teenager.
I'm 13! Technically a teen!
And being a teenager is why they decide to essentially torture everyone in that friend group, as we see the ghost do with no sign of stopping. Only doing so once Dipper says that he's not a teenager.
I'm not a teenager!
During that time, we see Ma and Pa doing ironic punishment to the teens, which can be from turning Nate into a hot dog.
What? No! I'm a hot dog!
And like trapping Tambury on a screen. This goes with the statistics tendencies of the Category 6 Phantoms of Pain, by punishments made to make teens suffer for their behavior, showing a desire to inflict pain or discomfort. Now, we never know how much power this category has since Ford said nope. So maybe it could have been this bad, and that could have potentially put this category up to 9 or 10 given the potential danger. But wait, remember how the episode's conflict ends again?
I'm not a teenager!
This could also be the equivalent to Ford's nope. So with all that said, I think this is 100% the category for these ghosts, if the crew thought about it. Tell me otherwise in the comments, but to me, you are wrong to think that, and I have defeated you with facts and logic. Category 7, the Eternal Key. Ford begins this entry in the journal with, "One desperate soul in each generation is transformed into the Eternal Key." Which is where I remember that in universe, all ghosts used to be alive human beings at one point. And I point that out because in any other cartoons, they're sometimes just ghosts. They are a monster type called ghosts with no connections to them once being human, which adds a real dark twist I didn't realize until now. Every character we know that's alive in Gravity Falls can eventually be one of these categories of ghosts, which gives me two interesting thoughts. If they were turned into a ghost, which ghost would each of the main characters be, and which category would I be? Sounds like an online quiz you take, but I wonder how that works since we don't know 100%. For one we know, it's a common ghost rule to have a grudge or unfulfilled purpose like with the grocery store couple and the woodsman ghosts. Otherwise, we know no real other way of how one becomes a ghost. Sorry about that tangent, but I just find stuff like this so interesting. Anyways, back to the Sad Key ghost. They have no idea what they are supposed to do or where to be, haunting with very noisy complaining, trying to figure out what will end their torment, which I imagine is eternal given that they are the Eternal Key. Category 8, the Petrifying Rock. This rock has a keyhole in it, so you know what that means. The Eternal Key's torment can only be ended by unleashing Kerserxel, the Unperceivable. Wow, really? Well, at least these two categories have a hard time seeking their schedules. For notice, the key wandering around half an hour before disappearing, complaining and being annoying as usual. And then the rock appears 10 minutes afterwards. Not only that, but he, and I quote, gave one look around the place, sighed, and vanished. I have a feeling this happens a lot. That's hilarious. I also question how Ford knows this a little bit. Like, I'll trust that the writers are saying that everything written down here is true, but like, how does Ford know the name Kerserxel? The Unperceivable. The key doesn't know what's going on, and the rock just appears, gets upset, and then leaves. How did you do it, Ford? How do you know it? Category 9, Dream Hipster. This is the most obvious reference to a pop culture ghost out of them all. The drawing could literally be fan art with the glove being a little different. That's how close it is. If you haven't gotten it yet, it is based on Freddy Krueger from the film franchise A Nightmare on Elm Street. One of the most referenced out of the ones listed, and is definitely the one everybody watching the show pointed at the screen like that one Leonardo DiCaprio meme. What? Like that one Leonardo DiCaprio meme.
It's not dumb, okay?
What's up? Oh.
Even having a striped shirt, and instead of a knife glove, having a glove with a fork, spoon, butter knife, and even a bottle opener. And just like Freddy, he turns dreams into nightmares, but then he takes you out of the experience to brag and have you admire how much effort went into his handiwork and his personal details that he included into the dream. Ford had this to say about Category 9. Please, just kill me already if I can skip all the bragging. What a terrible experience it must have been to deal with this guy, am I right? Ford even later writes about how during his second nightmare of the night, the hipster interrupted his own work halfway through to make sure Ford knew he was the one that made it. Each dream, every single one having a stupid one-liner. And then Ford decides to not write any more of his dreams in the journal to make sure it doesn't give the hipster any satisfaction at all. Category 10, danger. Category 10s are the most dangerous, with the Grim Reaper, that's right, the Grim Reaper, being the most famous of the phantoms. More deadly ones listed are the Grave Filler and the Slim Creeper. And then Ford literally talks about, you know what, I'll just read it. The Reaper simply has made an effort to get itself out in the public eye more than the others. Good PR. Ford, what are you on, brother? But this is actually similar to the Goober things, to where the ghosts are popular enough to be in pop culture and in things like movies or books. Ford's personal story talks about the temperature in the cabin dropping 30 degrees, the mounted deer heads on the wall began screaming, and the fireplace started to fill with blood, which is just like Dipper's category 10 in the episode Northwest Mansion Mystery. And just like Dipper, Ford writes, when this figure arrived, I knew for sure.
It's a category 10.
And of course, as we know from the show, it says, pray for mercy in blacklight. But we also see that Dipper wrote in himself in the journal 3, get the rich girl to apologize to them. And I have one question for you, audience. Which one of these are helpful at all?
Advice. Oh, seriously?
Like, we sometimes make fun of Ford for his vague stuff, but Dipper's is also way too specific. If you ain't afraid of no ghosts, you're an idiot, says Ford as he runs from the cabin, having enough ghosts for a lifetime, which is pretty fair, I say. But one last thing for this category, you might remember from later I talked about the blacklight. Well, in the blacklight edition, this is what Ford sees when he ran into category 10 again. Not so scary without his cloak. This guy should spend less time reaping and more time at the gym. And that's all I could find about ghosts. Which category was your favorite? I know which one's my least favorite. Oh god, I hate that guy. Jeez. Tell me in the comments what lore I should talk about next. And I'll see you guys next time. But remember, it's a matter of what you make it. Have a good time. Wonder if people are going to get that reference. Ooh, ooh, ooh.